Welcome everyone, this is Weird Christianity.
Hi Chris.
Hello. 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 That was Becky, by the way. But
Hi Becky. Hi Becky.
We did similar
Jeremy.
voice, and I'm Chris. Right, let's crack on with it. Who wants to go with their weird or interesting thing?
Well, I'm quite excited about yours, Becky.
Okay,
Just like, I really like when you presented to us, when you mailed it to us, I was like, woo, that's a big one.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay, so my little weird Christianity fact this week is chapters were added to the Bible in the 12th century by the Archbishop of Canterbury. Oh, I said Bishop. Archbishop of Canterbury, Stephen Langton. And then I did a bit more research and I realised that verses were added in the 16th century by another bishop as well. And the first Bible to use these verses, these chapters, was the 1382 Wycliffe English Bible. Wycliffe, yeah.
Yeah. I remember reading the Wycliffe.
Wycliffe.
There's Wycliffe Bible College. So I would say that it's probably pronounced Wycliffe, but who am I? The French person correcting English people how to pronounce English is great.
A lot of our stuff is derivative from French, I guess. Yeah.
However you pronounce it. I think it's a very interesting little fact because I think it does change the way that we read the Bible. Quite often people will go to this verse.
Yeah.
And then actually, like, thinking about it, when it was originally written, it wasn't written like that. And you actually, like, it can change context and stuff if you don't read around the verse.
It's a block of text, isn't it?
Yeah,
In the original, like, my Greek is hilariously bad, but and my Hebrew is non-existent. But you go into it, and for those of you who don't know, like, it is literally So I'm told I actually haven't seen. Have you guys seen an original manuscript of like?
So I was when I learnt ancient Greek.
Okay.
When I was learning ancient Greek, we had a Bible where I've seen the Bible where actually there were not enough spaces. There were no spaces between the words. So you read the Greek and you have to almost just kind of, okay, that's one word, okay, and just kind of separate it. Because, of course, when they were writing the Bible at the time, they were writing it on the vellum, they were writing it, paper was, there were no printing. Paper was very expensive.
You have to squidge it up.
So you have to squidge it up. You have to use the entire space that you have. So that is much harder. So even the punctuation didn't exist. So you have to... All this idea of punctuation came much later on, earlier than the chapter and verse, but that was not there. So yeah, it's just like an original manuscript is not only just kind of, it's basically letters mushed together, and you're making an effort. It's really hard going to just kind of go there, and it's written by hand. So handwriting.
Wow. Can you imagine how much your hand would be cramping? You're trying to write
And it's not a pen. It's basically just kind of a feather that they have, like, and every 5 seconds you just need to ink it, and just like,
and then we're here with our borrows. Sorry guys if you hear us like scribbling in the background, and then we've got our borrows and it's absolutely fine. But yeah, just like
we just use laptops these days to type.
When
I start writing with a pen these days, I'm always like, I can't do it anymore.
How do I hold this?
Well, thank you, Steve, for helping us with that, because I just think but I wonder how he did it, because I can imagine if it's never been done before. I mean, talk about a Herculean task.
Yeah.
First of all, you've got the punctuation, and like you were saying, Jeremy, and just sorting that out, and then going, okay, so just let's dice this up, to make it easy and stuff like that.
But what's interesting is that when you go to a block of text that you have to translate, especially when in the Greek, because I didn't study Hebrew, but in the Greek, but Hebrew was very similar, but they much early on just kind of looked at separating it and just kind of making it, because there is a reading when you're 13, and it's just like when you become an adult in Jewish tradition, so you have to read in certain ways and then you have to follow a certain pattern. Yeah. But when you come to it, and you kind of putting punctuation, because actually punctuation didn't exist at the time, but now it exists, so you put it in there to just kind of end a sentence, then things were lost in translations. That's why you got the Jehovah's Witness that will remove some of the articles, such as or add them. You just kind of say, well, he's not there because they didn't have it, but we need to add them. So it just kind of, Jesus become a God rather than God in John, in the Gospel of John. So it is very important that we have this demarcation, this kind of situations where we can separate each verse, each sentences, so you can find them. It's very important for studying. It's very important for that. But it does change exactly how you read the Bible. When you read 1 Chronicle, which is one book in the Bible, then you've got Hebrew Bibles, and you've got one. So it's the Old Testament, so not the Greek, but the Hebrew one. 1 Chronicles 5:27-41 will be 1 Chronicles 6 verse 1 to 15 in some Christian text.
Yeah.
Just because they decided to put the beginning of the chapter there rather than there.
I was just thinking, like, if I was doing it, I was just like, I joked earlier with Jeremy, it's just like, if he gave me this task, I could just imagine it being not like, I don't know how well Stephen Langton did it, like, in terms of that, but I could just imagine me kind of doing it and Jeremy going, okay, cool, Chris, so just tell me, have you broken it up?
Why have you done that? Why are you putting that? Come on.
Probably
Some sort of managerial
what
thing we
it
know.
ended up being, like, guys, just for those residents listening, it would be thorough. But in terms of just like how it was divvied up,
so weird,
you might
so
question
weird.
it. It'd be like, Chris, there's just you've kind of split that in the middle of a thing there. Is there? It just made it easier.
Yeah.
That's why for me, not for anyone else. For me,
some verses will have a split sentence as well, which I find really interesting. So the verse number will come right in the middle of the sentence, and you'll be like, I had one I went to life group last night, and somebody gave me a verse for, like, when we were praying, and it was half of sentence and then a full sentence, and I was like, contextually that's fine, but and also could you give me the rest of the sentence? I had to read around it and go, it's a weird, like, by all means give me the verse, but that is a weird one to give me because it's half a sentence.
Every time, you're just, could you study this? Yeah. But, like, what? Like, it says therefore, and you're like, well, what's it there for? Like, it's like, it's gone on to, like, so you have to, like, okay, guys, sorry, I'm going to have to go over the previous person's sermon talk, basically, because it's cut off halfway through, but you're like, but now, I guess if it's never been done before, I guess, I don't know if it was reordered kind of later, perhaps. But...
So different people have looked at it. So when you listened, when you came up with that fact, Becky, my brain was like, why is Psalm 119 so long? You know what I mean?
Why is 117 so short?
It's just like, surely someone would have come with that way, thinking, well, we need to just kind of make sure that everything is the same length. So they would just read almost the same.
Systematic.
No, yes, it's quite systematic. No. Because the thing is, Psalm 119 is very much what it should be. So it's just like, it's a very long thing, but it's written in such a way, and we're like, well, shall we end it there? No, and it needs to end it because it was written as a block, so that we know it's actually a block. It's more in the New Testament that it was more relevant. So
okay,
cool.
Well, speaking of ending it there, I think we probably need to dash on to. Well, okay, I'll take the floor then. So I'll make it me. So, did you know? Potentially, did you know that modern hospital systems, as we know it today, actually has its roots in Christianity and the Bible? So the concept of taking care of the sick, irrespective of their social status or wealth, was not common in the ancient times. So healthcare, if available at all, was typically only for the rich and powerful. Imagine that happening today. We'll move on quickly. However, so the teachings of Jesus in the New Testament, the Bible frequently emphasise love and care for the sick and needy. Passages such as in Matthew, where Jesus says something like, I was sick and you looked after me. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. These teachings had a profound impact on the early Christians, inspiring a different approach to healthcare. So in the 4th century AD, Saint Basil of Caesarea, he was a Christian bishop in what is now Turkey. He founded the first known large-scale hospital. It was known as the Basiliad, and the complex included not just a hospital, but also a leper house, a poorhouse, and a hospice. It was staffed by monks and nuns who provided care for the sick and needy, regardless of their ability to pay. The model of the Basiliad inspired the creation of similar institutions throughout the Christian world. Over time, those Christian institutions evolved and grew into the modern hospital system. In the Middle Ages, the Christian orders of the Hospitallers ran several hospitals in the Holy Land in Europe. So, the next time you visit a hospital, know that is potentially where the roots of hospitals come from.
So when you came up with your fact, which was literally 3 words, people.
Three
words in an email. It's just like St. Basil, blah, 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 hospital. You know what I mean?
It wasn't
It's
even
like-
St. Basil, it just said Christian hospital roots or something like that.
Guys, come on, you know me.
So
3 words, I can make it into 30 if you want.
It's just like, and then it's just like, yeah, I think at some point I came across the Basil name and I was thinking, Basil? Is it fault? But Basil faulty? Is it just like? Is it Basil as the plant? Is there a relation there?
Yeah, I mean, looking at what an amazing guy Basil was, I think if it was Basil faulty, I genuinely think the Basiliad just would not have happened at all. Or if it did, I can just imagine health inspectors, if they had, I don't know, they might not have health inspectors just coming round and being like, no, not this way, somewhere else. Oh man. Anyway.
No, do you know what? It's just like what is hilarious about Basil Fawlty is that he was based on a real person. So Basil Fawlty was based on a real person. So basically, John Cleese and the crew, when they were Monty Python, just kind of went to a hotel and find this crazy guy managing a hotel,
No,
and basically the kind of guy who was like so annoyed, like proper angry, if someone put on a table for 2, a 4-way pot of tea, just like I mean, just like they found the best thing. So and then they could just create Basil Fawlty. But anyway, when you came up with that, I was like flipping by Saint Basil Fawlty.
It's just a really interesting name, isn't it? Like Basil. Like, it's just not,
Well, Jeremy was telling me that basil is used in a lot of medicinal
So
stuff.
basil, the plant, is used in a lot of medicinal, but the basil as a name is quite a powerful name. It's just like I think in Arabic or in Persian languages, it's just like it means like fierce, very positive thing. It's just kind of so it's a very kind of as its origin, a very kind of monarchy, king name, very powerful name. But yeah, the plant is. Is there a link between him being, just like? But basil there is a link between the name Basil and the plant basil, but not Basil as a saint, in the sense that basil was used for perfume for kings. So there are some link there. But Saint Basil as a guy, I mean, he's known for his so what you mentioned about the hospital, but he's a fantastic, influential figure in the way that we live our Christianity. I mean, for someone who lived in I think in the 4th century. 4th century, wasn't it? It's just like he was with no phone, no TikTok, nothing like that. So influential on, I think we need to create monastery, we need to just kind of have places where people can express their spirituality and have rest into expressing and getting closer to God. And that was his influence on the church, in Basil's church. And he's so respected by the Catholic Church, but also by the Orthodox Church. He's just like, he's one of the saints. He's just like revered in 2 of the biggest Christian tradition that we have. Even the Lutheran love him.
I mean, wow, that's quite something.
There is also some Basil's Church in Exeter. In Exeter, it's just outside of Exeter.
When I first Googled it, it's what came up. I was like, no way.
Yeah, there's St. Basil. But when you came up with Basil, I was like, oh my God, credited. Their church is B, and I think there is a massive link with Germany. It's in Boniface. Trust me to not remembering a name.
Well, I mean, the thing that I did kind of like a bit of a deeper dive of Basil and
Basil Fawlty or Basil St. Basil?
Thankfully, the guy I was talking about. To go off what you were saying, Jerry, he was just so influential. So the emperor at the time, Emperor Valens, he was part of a group of people who believed a certain thing that Basil fought against. I'm saying it feels odd to use him on first name terms. I don't even know the guy, but like, you know what I mean? Just like my mate Basil. He was talking to the emperor, like the lord of all this empire at the time, and he tried to force a compromise with Basil. Was like, mate, you need to like kind of, go on these side. He refused, and although the emperor tried to ban him several times, he was unsuccessful. But he was impressed with Basil, and he donated some land to him, and that's the same land that he used to create the Basiliad, because he respected Basil so much for how he defended his beliefs. I was just like, what an amazing guy. And like, he became a saint for hospital administrators and reformers because of who he was. Like, and he was, I imagine how he became called Basil the Great.
If you're a hospital administrator, listen to this. No,
exactly.
He's your saint.
Oh, yeah, well, I'll tell you what, also, all the Christophers out there, I'm just gonna, so I looked up this, right? Patron saint of travel and children, all right? A pretty cool saint, yeah? No, he was decanonised in 1969.
So decanonized means that he's no longer a saint.
Yeah, sorry
He's
guys.
been demoted.
Yeah, no.
He's been demoted to blessed.
Blessed, yeah. Which is like,
he's not a saint anymore.
it's like he's not saint. Yes, he's blessed. So it's like the tear down. It's like it's still,
And we're not sure that guy existed.
No, that's why they can't prove he existed.
They can't prove he existed, so he's been decanonized.
Do you know,
Too blessed.
Yeah. He's still blessed.
It's like,
even though he doesn't exist.
It's a lovely story. Yeah, no, we'll bless that. Like, it's kind of... So the story of St. Christopher is obviously he carries a child across a raging river, and the child gets heavier and heavier and heavier. He gets to the other side, and somehow it's the person of Jesus. And he says, well, as you carried me across, therefore you will be this person. But they've got no proof that he even existed.
Okay.
So they're like, does he exist? Doesn't he? But yeah, like I said, down to blessed. So, it's a case
he's still
of...
blessed, even if he doesn't exist.
It's like, I'm sure there's a story there. So I'm sure there's a Christopher who's kind of done that. Yeah, so...
It trusts you to search your own saint online. It's a little bit like, when no one is looking, you look on Google, it's just like, I'm called Jeremy. Any important Jeremy? Well,
exactly. Yeah. Well, it's just...
how often do you Google your own name?
Yeah, you Google your own name.
It's imposter syndrome. It's like, how are the other Christians doing out there? But yeah, anyway, that was my fact for you guys.
Yeah.
So,
it's just like when you say Caesarea, I just kind of thought of diarrhea. Just like putting it out there. Well, we have to move on, but I'll just leave it there because I just kind of thought, yeah, why not? Let's put it there.
Great. Yeah, no, diarrhea, everyone. That's my takeaway from Basil.
Takeaway from Basil. Diarrhea and hospital. I think it's linked.
I'll go with that.
If it's really bad.
But sticking with saints, Jeremy, you've got someone that you want to tell us about.
Yeah, yes, just because he is the patron saint of brewers. And I like beers, so
yeah.
So, but he's also the saint patrons of
Hippos?
teachings. No, he's Augustine of Hippo. Hippo is not the saint patron of hippos.
I totally read it as a hippo thing, and I completely misinterpreted that part. When you said hippo, I was like, hippo?
It's Saint Augustine of Hippo. So you're like, like patrons. No, but like as in, but I read it exactly the same. It's like of hippos. I was like, I'm glad that we've got
patron saint of hippos.
Things, yeah.
So for listeners out there is Saint Augustine of Hippo. Hippo being the place he comes from, which was in Algeria.
Oh right,
in top of Africa, in North Africa. Yep. So Algeria, and as such, because Algeria at some point was invaded by the French owned Saint Augustine, even though at that point
we'll claim him.
We'll claim him.
Actually, I always thought he was French, because I was always told that he was French. Is that not true? It's not true.
He's Algerian in origin.
Oh, okay, good.
Berber from the probably Berber. So there is this clan that is quite nomadic.
Okay.
And they are called the Berber, and they are an amazing group of people. But so he was originally like that, but decided to speak Latin.
Why not?
Why not? Just like make it weird. But this guy, he's the Saint Patron became the Saint Patron of brewers and the teachers of the Catholic Church. So he's a Saint Patron of teaching as well, doctrine. And we owe a lot to St. Augustine, apart that he's got a funny place name, Hippo, and I did some research about Hippo fact because I just kind of thought, why not? So St. Augustine, he wrote quite a tremendous amount of literature, influenced the teaching of the church, any churches really, because he again a 4th century guy. So the Protestant movement really like his teaching. The Catholic Church really likes his teaching. Everyone loves him really because he's so down to earth, and because his first book was about, look, I'm a sinner, and he talked about sin. And he was one of the first guy, really, who just kind of really tackled the idea of sin. And he realized, and this was a very funny moment in his life. So he was a kid, and then he went to steal something, not because he needed that, but because it was forbidden to do. And he realized at that point that he was a sinner. By default, when he was a child. I think he was a teenager probably, but yeah, the story goes, and he's very open, you know. He's just like I really like women, I really like just kind of having fun, I really like drinking. But then he just kind of he really had, you know, an epiphany and just kind of changed his life. And he was quite, you know.
So hold on, because he's a sinner, he thought. Well, no, we thought let's sanctify him because he's had such a hedonistic.
No, wait.
It's just like, do you know what I mean? I know that, like, so it's just like, okay, he's gone so far. Let's bring him back.
I think he came to a place of sanctity through his life.
Oh,
so
okay.
He changed his ways. He was a sinner, realized this, wrote a book. So he's quite well known for some of the books he wrote, and about the idea of sin, about the idea of changing and salvation. And and then just kind of changed his life and taught people. Wow. So people told him that he was a hypocrite and stuff like that. He had all this kind of criticism in his time, but actually he was very influential guy. So much so that I was reading his book not so long ago. So his book is still published. You know, he's just like is that influential. So we're talking like a long time.
I've got a way of, if it helps for you guys to remember how he's a saint of brewers, apart from the fact that obviously you've taken in all of Jeremy's facts
and just like say brewers, let's get drunk.
And as an Englishman, I can 100% get behind that. The idea of society, Hippo, like they are submerged in a lot of water. When you brew something, you brew it in a lot of water.
Is that what
exactly.
we're remembering now?
Yeah. Hippo.
I don't think you became the patron of brewers because of the hippo
of course.
part.
But that's, in my mind, I'm going to think hippo, water, brew, brewers.
Your brain works in wonderful ways.
That's probably why I was
what
asked.
What are they going to say to you? He's a St. Augustine of Hippo. Why are they just going to say to you St. Augustine and you're going to be like, he's the guy from Hippo?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm...
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so I might remember it like that. I might just remember Hippo.
So when I sent my fact, Becky, where did your brain go?
So my brain went, I went to, hippo, animals. So I went, patron saint of animals.
What have you got for us?
So
No, hold on, sorry. Patron saint of, okay, so are these like actual animals or are they...
No, they're not animals that are saints. They are...
No,
but there
animals,
are.
they're saints.
But no, I found one.
Right.
There's
You found an animal
dog.
that's a saint.
There's a martyred dog.
Wow.
That's what I was asking.
Why was he martyred?
Well, and also, how do we know he was martyred? I don't know. I was just like, there's like, are you kidding me? There is a patron, genuinely look it up. Listeners, look it up. There's a dog, a martyred dog that is a saint. I don't know who you pray to.
How do you know?
So basically we found out today that dogs are better than your name, Chris.
Flipping heck. Yeah, they get canon. Yeah, whatever.
You get
I'm
anyway.
with that now.
Other
Becky.
patron saints, so other animals with patron saints include dogs and cats because they're most important. And I would like you to know, this is my fact as a dog person. Dogs are mentioned in the Bible, but house cats aren't. Just for you people, that are cat people out there, dogs are mentioned in the Bible, cats aren't. There are lots of big wild cats in the Bible, as we know, but not house
How
cats.
are dogs mentioned? Surely dogs in the Old Testament is about licking the blood of someone who's been
Technically,
cursed,
Jeremy,
isn't it?
come on, as a dog returns to his vomit, so does a fool to his folly. If you wanted to remember that one. But on that note...
There might be a reason why cats are not mentioned, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because they
that's
actually liked cat.
Wow!
Yeah.
I'm offended. As a dog person, that really offended me. Okay, yeah. So I came up with a list of other saints. So St. Roch is the patron saint of dogs. St. Gertrude of I can't even say that. Nevils is the patron saint of cats. Bees, there's St. Ambrose. Cows.
Ambrose, Saint Ambrose. Ambrose is like, is not
I'm thinking
Rice pudding.
ambrosia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it is not as Ambrose, not ambrosia. Doves have a patron saint, geese have a patron saint, horses have a patron saint, there's a patron saint of pets, there's a patron saint of vets, there's a patron saint of whales, and there's a patron saint of wild animals. And also I would like you to know that Pope Benedict is really well known for his love of cats. Pope Benedict being the last pope that's just recently died. Not the current pope.
Not the current pope.
Not the current pope, the pope that has just that was alive.
Died or just resigned?
No,
He died recently, didn't he?
I don't know. You've gone
The guy that
We'll have to
resigned.
find it out now.
We
I
don't-
can't remember if he did.
Guys,
he definitely
whoever
resigned.
is listening, please just kind of
message
We're not
in.
Catholics.
Message in,
It's
tell
fine.
us.
Yes.
If
If you
but
did,
yeah,
if
he's
you
well
did get
known for
already
his
that we're
love
not
of cats.
Catholics. Sorry. Roman Catholic people.
And also, I'd
yeah.
like you to know that there are 100 animals, over 100 animals mentioned in the Bible, including hippopotamuses, crocodiles, cheetahs, bears, lions, and locusts.
So apparently the hippopotamus was so Leviathan,
Yes.
the Leviathan which is mentioned in Job. I
Also
believe.
known as Leviathan, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Sorry.
That's a dig back as me correcting your
that's
your
fair
English
enough,
earlier on. Fair enough, Chris.
But yeah.
Touche. But yeah,
I thought
so
it was a French
crocodiles are the Leviathan, I believe to be the Leviathan, but
Yeah.
the hippo in the Bible, I think, is the behemoth.
Oh right.
So
Okay.
when they are mentioning the behemoth, is mentioning hippo.
Yeah. So it's
That would
thought
sound
that
about
these
right.
things used to exist in the Middle East, and they don't anymore. That's the other thing.
Whoa.
So, because obviously the Bible is based around the Middle East,
Yeah.
and other things, and actually it's thought that these animals used to actually habitate the Middle East,
Wow.
the Middle East.
Used to live there.
Yeah.
That one.
We'll go with that.
And that they don't actually live there anymore,
Yeah.
although they still exist in the world.
Didn't.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's just like
Where's it? I was about to say Pablo Picasso, but it's not Pablo Picasso. It's the guy drug cartel guy.
the what?
The Pablo.
Oh yeah, the Mexico the guy that imported hippos into Mexico.
and basically
And
outside.
then they overtook because there was no natural predator for the hippos.
Yeah,
in
so they've
Mexico.
like literally.
Funnily
So he
enough.
brought over like a load of hippos, and then basically
Into
they just got.
Mexico.
And now they are
And
massive.
there's
Yeah.
no natural predators for them, so they just
Yeah.
like there's now a huge hot hippo population in Mexico because this guy imported hippos and there's no natural predators
Yeah.
for them.
I've got so much to say about hippos because they are so terribly dangerous in Africa. But we need to move on. We actually need to stop.
Yeah.
It's the end of today. So, people, hope you enjoyed our just podcast.
Yeah.
And Catholic out there, we love you.
Yeah, we
we
do
love
love you.
We'll have
you.
to come up with some. Yeah, well,
We'll come up
technically
with
we
some more
did
facts.
come up with facts that were kind of representative of you,
We
but
just
yeah.
didn't remember.
Cool. Have a good one, people. Have a great time, and
Yeah.
hope you enjoyed us.
Yeah.
Tune in for next time.
Bye, guys.